comes to prove that the Supreme Court justice ruled fairly, properly, and based on the fact alone to repeal Section 4. Contention 1. The Voting Rights Act is constitutional. The 15th Amendment gives the federal government the right to enforce equality in voting. Thus, this is constitutional because it's defending the 15th Amendment. Justice Ruth Ginsburg in Shelby County v. Holder states, Congress may use all means which are appropriate and which are plainly adapted to constitutional ends declared by these amendments. The Brennan Center for Justice in Shelby County v. Holder says, framers entrusted Congress to the responsibility for determining which legislation is needed to enforce the amendment prohibition practices that deny or abridge the right to vote on account of race. Additionally, there is a need for the Voting Rights Act. According to Andrew Cohen at the Brennan Center for Justice, just hours after the court struck down Section 4, Texas declared that it would immediately move to implement restrictive voter identification laws that one of the federal panel judges declared last year to be discriminatory. Contention 2. Judicial activism. The Supreme Court's job is to uphold the Constitution. It is Congress's job to deal with lawmaking, representation of the people, promoting oversight, helping constituents, and educating the public. A disagreement regarding Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act is Congress's responsibility because the 15th Amendment requires that the job of Congress is to protect the voting rights. The Supreme Court does not have the authority to intervene with Congress's attempts to protect the 15th Amendment, thus they did not readily decide that Section 4 is unconstitutional. According to Scott Lemieux, a professor of political science at the College of St. Rose, Congress is explicitly authorized to enforce them. Unless enforcing legislation violates the individual rights explicitly guaranteed by the Constitution, the court should defer to Congress's judgment about what legislation is necessary to enforce amendments unless there is simply no rational relationship between the legislation and its proposed end. Furthermore, Guy Uriel Justice from Duke Law Center writes, the Constitution provides Congress an important role to play in safeguarding both racial equality, and voting. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments explicitly designate Congress as the primary guarantor of racial equality. Since the Supreme Court overstepped its authority to strike down Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act, their decision violated the separation of powers, meaning they did not readily decide that it was unconstitutional. Contention 3. Judicial bias. When judges accept themselves from voting on a decision of the court, it's deciding because when judges accept themselves from voting on a decision of the court, it is deciding because of connection or bias. It's called recusal. Supreme Justice Roberts has a personal connection, therefore he should have recused himself. Adam Surer, a journalist and reporter, states he was deeply involved in efforts to curtail effectiveness of the Voting Rights Act, the hard-won Landberg 1965 law that was intended to ensure all Americans can vote. That is not rightly because it is not for good reason or fairly. Therefore, this refutes a resolution. Thus, we strongly urge a calm ballot in today's referendum.